And we're back. So let's talk about when you should use which form. Okay, this last one was pretty lengthy because it did say in all three forms, but this just says write the quadratic function. So let's talk about when you should use which form if it doesn't clarify or specify. Okay, standard form is if you're given 3 points and you don't know anything about those 3 points. You don't know if one's the vertex or the intercepts or anything. You use those 3 points, you have your 3 unknowns in standard form, you set up a 3x3 and you solve it, okay? Vertex form you want to use anytime you're given the vertex. If they give you the vertex, you can plug that in for H and K, and then the only thing that's left is just to figure out what A is, okay? And it's very similar with intercept form if you're given the x-intercepts. And feel free to go add this to your pink paper. Like, remember, you should have those 3 formulas on there, but feel free to add extra information and use that as a study tool, okay? So anytime you're given this information and it doesn't clarify which equation, then you can just automatically choose what's best. So let's take a look. It just says write the quadratic function. Now, if this says f of 6 equals 9, f of 3 equals 0, f of 7 equals 0, these are points, they're just written differently, okay? You have to remember f of x equals y. So this is just like saying that this is 6, 9, inputs and outputs. This is 3, 0, and this is 7, 0, okay? And these aren't just any 3 points, okay? I don't have to set up a 3x3 for this one because if you catch it, these are your x-intercepts. So I'm going to take a much shorter route than what I did on the last one where I had to do all that to get standard form. Okay. If I have my intercepts, I'm just going to jump in with intercept form and then kind of plug in my other point and go from there. So I don't know what y is, right? So y, that's just y equals, I don't know what a is. I know my x-intercepts are p and 7, so that'd be x minus 3 times x minus 7. Well, I don't know a, but I do have another point that I could use to plug in here and then work backwards for a. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's why they give you this additional point. So you can plug it in and then look for a, which is the only thing we need to fill out this formula. Okay. So y is 9. X is 6 for now. So 9 equals, I don't know a, 6 minus 3 times 6 minus 7. So 6 minus 3 is 3. 6 minus 7 will be negative 1. 3 times negative 1, so that'd be 9 equals negative 3a. So a would just equal negative 3. So then I'm going to come back up here, and I'm just going to replace the a. So y equals negative 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 7. That's it. Now, we're not going to graph this in detail. We're just going to kind of graph this so you have some idea of if you're doing these right or wrong, okay? You have y-intercepts, or x-intercepts, excuse me. You have x-intercepts at 3 and 7, okay? You also had a point that's going to be off of our graph at 6, 9. So 6, 9 is going to be up here somewhere, okay? So, which means there's my x-intercepts. I have a point on this side. It's doing something like this. And if it's doing that, that means it's pretty steep, which I found that a was 3, right? Vertically stretched. And negative, it was going down, so it works, okay? Sometimes just a quick sketch of the graph is all that you need to know that you're going in the right direction, okay? For this next one, you have the vertex. So you should be using vertex form. So vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And I already know h and k. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to use this other point to help me find a. So y equals a times x minus 2 squared plus 5. Okay? And then from there, I'm going to use this other point, plug that point in, and then use that to figure out what a is. So y is negative 7. So negative 7 equals, I don't know what a is. X for now is going to be 0 minus 2 squared plus 5. And then I just have one unknown, okay? So I'm not having to do a 3x3. It's not a 2x2. I'm just filling in what I can into my formula and then using that other point to solve for my last unknown, okay? 0 minus 2 is -2, but -2 squared is +4. So -7 equals 4a, positive 4a plus 5. Subtract 5, that's -12 equals 4a. So that means a is going to be -3. So my equation for this quadratic would be y equals, or f of x equals, -3 x minus 2 squared plus 5. So I already had the vertex, already plugged it in. A was just my last piece of the puzzle. And then that's it. So to put this on a graph, just to verify, I have my vertex at 2, 5. And I had another point at 0, -7. That's way down here. So this would be going down, okay? This would be pretty vertically stretched, so it matches. So we know we were at least on the right path, okay? Now, I didn't put graphs on these last two. These graphs were really just for us to kind of check, just so you could have a visual. But you don't have to graph it, but it is just something if you ever get stuck, like you get A as a positive number or a negative number, like just do a quick sketch of what you know about the graph, okay? So taking a look, if you want to pause this and try this one on your own, I say go for it on the next two. Okay, go ahead and pause and try them, but I'm going to jump on in, so hopefully you paused it, okay? I have my vertex, so I have my h and my k. So y equals a times x minus 3 squared minus 2, because that's k. And then I'm going to plug in this point and use that to find my last unknown a. So 3 equals a times x is 2 minus 3 squared minus 2. 2 minus 3 is -1, but -1 squared would just be +1. So 3 equals a minus 2. Add the 2, a would just be 5. And that's it. So y equals 5 times x minus 3 squared plus 2. I told y'all that my 5s really look like s's, so my bad there. Y, f of x, either one works here. And then for this last one, like I said, hopefully you'd pause the video. You have your p and your q because you have your x-intercepts. So y equals a times x minus -3 would be x plus 3. And then x minus q would be x minus 6 using intercept form because I have the intercepts. Okay, even if you have like these 3 points, like do you really want to set up a whole system when you know that these are the intercepts? So you can just jump here and then you've got one unknown. So now I'm going to plug in one -4. So y is -4 equals a times x is 1 plus 3 times 1 minus 6. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and then 1 minus 6 is -5. So -4 equals 4 times -5 is -20a. So if you divide that by -20 on both sides, okay, -4 over negative is going to be a positive, and then 4 over 20 simplifies to 1/5. Because how many times does 4 go into 4 and 20? So 1/5, okay? So back up here, now I know what a is. So y equals, or f of x equals 1/5 x plus 3 times x minus 6. And that really does look like S, doesn't it? It's so bad. There's a 5. That's it, okay? So make sure you do need to have memorized, okay? What are the forms that you would use? So when would you use them? Do you have these forms memorized, okay? And then for your quiz tomorrow, do you know how to graph? Do you know how to graph from standard form, vertex form, intercept form, okay? Can you write equations in standard form, vertex form, intercept form? Do you know how to identify the domain and range and the vertex from all of the forms? And then that's it. That's all that you're going to see on your quiz tomorrow, okay? Best of luck. I'll see you in the next time.